What's going on, people? Hope everyone's feeling blessed, everyone's feeling calm, despite all of the madness that's going on. Today I'm gonna talk a little bit about death and how many of us are controlled by the fears of dying and, this idea of the afterlife and all of this thing. So I wanna dive into it a little bit, because many of us are living in systems that do not cater for our humanity, I guess, in terms of our joys, our happiness, our peace. All of these things are neglected. So your body becomes almost like an empty vessel. Do you see what I mean? So it's almost, so in other words, your whole life you're being manipulated. Your emotions are being manipulated. You're being triggered. So your emotions are all over the place. So when a topic of death comes up, it's hard for you to stomach or even picture what an afterlife is or what the process of death is. But I want to read quickly. Check this out. This is talking about death. It says, "Fear not death, for when he comes, you will be no longer there. Nevertheless, it is well to live a good life and be free from the fear of his shadow. For he that is good has nothing to fear. What is death but the gateway to glory, the entrance into the kingdom of greater life? It is the journey to a new land, an awakening from sleep where all care and affliction born on earth are left behind. Do not men respect death above birth? Do they not adorn their weapons, the servants of death, with gold and precious stones, and display them proudly to all men? Have not honor and titles been the lot of many who have caused the slaying of thousands? But who has ever been honored for bringing a man to life? While there is but one way of entry into life, there are thousands of ways of departing. All roads through life lead to the gates of death. He who ever dwells under the shadow of the fear of death dies many times, and the fear is greater than the event itself. Death, I fear not, if violent men come with sharp weapons as its messenger. I may fear the instruments, I may fear dying, but death itself holds no terrors. Come it must, of all things in life. It's the most inevitable. God grant I accept it as a man." You see that? Now, just like what I said before, many of us are pretty much manipulated. Our emotions are manipulated, so we can't even begin to fathom something as inevitable as death. Get caught up in our emotions, and when we do that, it's easy for people to manipulate you. They know how to trigger you, because why? You're fearful, you're all over the place, you're caught up in your emotions. Now this idea of dying, the ancient way of looking at it was always like I just read earlier. What is death but the gateway to glory, the entrance into a greater life? You know what I mean? It's almost like a rhetorical question, because no one truly knows what's after life, after death, sorry. Do you see what I mean? We can only imagine it's a kingdom of greater life. Do you see? It is a journey to a new land, an awakening from sleep where all care and affliction born on earth, because you can't imagine that what you're feeling on earth, you're gonna feel the same thing after death, right? Born on earth are left behind. Everything you possess in this realm, you don't get to take with you. In other words, and this is why it asks another question. Do not men respect death above birth? You see that? This is why men study the science. Do they not adorn their weapons, the servants of death, with gold and precious stones, and display them proudly to all men? In other words, they take honor in this. You see? And it says, have not honor and titles been the lot of many who have caused the slain of thousands? Why? Because of death, right? But who has ever been honored for bringing a man to life? Is the question. That is the question. And it says, while there is but one way of entry into life, there are thousands of ways of departing. All roads through life lead to the gates of death. Now, it's very difficult to disagree with that, because there's been many tested roads, but all of them lead to the gates of death. You see, it's inevitable. And it says here, he who ever dwells under the shadow of the fear of death dies many times, and the fear is greater than the event itself. In other words, if you get caught, if you spend the rest of your life living in fear, you're basically dying many times. And that fear that's holding you back from living life, that fear is actually greater than the event itself. So you waste a life living in fear. But it says here, death I fear not. If violent men come with sharp weapons as its messenger, even if people are coming after me, in other words, I may fear their instruments, right? I might be fearful of getting stabbed. I might be fearful of getting shot, right? But death itself holds no terrors. I'm not scared of death, in other words. You hear that? Come it must, of all things in life. It's the most inevitable. God grant I accept it as a man. See? It's inevitable. We've got to learn to not just, how can I say? Let's not be so gullible to be manipulated into believing that our fear is gonna govern the rest of our life. We can't be people that live in fear, because when you live in fear, it makes you an easy target. We're gonna get into a bit more of that and what causes people's emotions to get out of place, and what is the root cause of all of this fear and frustration that builds up. All this, all of these emotions. I'll be bringing out different scriptures, breaking down the meaning of words like sin, what is repentance, marriage, keeping the commandments and going through the different commandments, the different prophecies that have already passed and some that are yet to pass. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share the video, because we're going to be doing a lot more content just enlightening our people, because it's important that we begin to understand the type of environment that we're in, because at the end of the day, this is a spiritual warfare, a psychological warfare, not just physical.